Yeah, let's wait as usual. 3 or 4 minutes to start.
I really like the people that started 5 minutes after the hour. Gives everybody time to like straggle in from their last meeting.
Yes, it's the coffee buffer or whatnot. Yes. No, Karsten, I cannot hear you.
So do you hear me now?
Yes.
Much better.
Great.
So I didn't make slides. I just typed the 4 lines, the 4 bullet items into the notes.
Yes, that will work.
So maybe at that point we should simply share the notes.
Yes, indeed.
So I get some coffee now.
Hello, Ricard and Christian. We are waiting the usual few minutes before really starting.
Hello.
So, Karsten, I think you're back.
Yes, but it's still hard to unmute.
Right. Okay, so let's get started then. Welcome, everyone. This is an interim meeting of the co-working group. I'm Marco Tilka. My co-chairs are Jaime Jimenez and Karsten Bormann. And as usual, the not well applies. Get familiar with them if you're not already. It's not just about IPR, it's also and especially about our code of conduct. So be nice and professional with one another. And we have a pretty slim agenda for today, actually. The main point was going through a status update on the Young Seed document, if no more to add. And then we just quickly wanted to check with folks today about the mail we received yesterday from Ayana on possible links to add in some registries about a few co-op errata. Any more points to add to this agenda or any agenda bashing in general? Heard none. So we can start right away with Young Said. I'll try to take notes. I don't anticipate big things to note down. Any help is appreciated. So Karsten, do you want me to share the notes?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. There we are.
Great. Yeah, so can you scroll down? So we had a design team meeting on last Thursday, and we discussed the potential ways forward. And in particular, we discussed whether there should be additional information in the status field, in the per item status field that we had been discussing. And in the end, we decided you could put lots of information in there, but it's not quite clear how actionable that information would be. So instead, we decided to revert to a simpler state, but added the obsolete status that was suggested by Rob. I think that's a good idea, to be able to carry around SID assignments that are no longer used in the version of the module that the SID file is supporting. So that was the per item status. And then there was a discussion about a per SID file status. So one way to obtain a per SID file status would be to look at all per item status entries, and if they are all stable, then apparently the SID file is stable. But we opted for a bit more explicit transition from an unpublished work file to a published definitive SID file. So this should be explicit, and tools never should make the decision that something is published on information the tool has, except it's explicitly requested in the invocation of the tool. So that makes it more obvious that SID file actually is still being worked on, and that allows us to actually send around documents that are proposals for stable SID files, for published SID files, but aren't per se published yet. So that's an interesting result of the discussion. Have a relatively simple status per item, but then add a status per SID file, so we can make it easier to recognize what a SID file is supposed to do. We also discussed whether the SID file status should be reflected in a file extension, but we saw lots of tool issues come up when we do that, so we didn't pursue that. We just said there should be a per SID file status. So that is probably the most important result. And there are two issues that really are beyond the scope of the current document, 144 and 147. So these can be taken on in one or more further documents. In particular, the whole annotation support, which is important for certain styles of using Yang. That requires some more thinking how to properly do this in CBOR. In the JSON version, essentially all the map keys can get an at sign prefix and then have a different meaning. But that's not really something that we should be doing for SIDs. So yeah, some innovation is required. There's some experimentation, some tool building, and so on. And that's definitely not something that goes into this version. Okay, so what remains to be done is to do a -20 of this document, maybe also covering the tasks 139, 66, and 88. These are just things that you essentially have to do every time you touch the yang, and we are touching the yang, so that should be done. And then we will then we will generate an updated response to Rob, so that there is a draft response circulated between the authors, and we will update that with the result of Thursday meeting, and then send that response to Rob, asking him to look at -20. And I think that's all I have.
So definitely version 20 will also incorporate any possible follow-up comment from Rob.
Yeah, we wanted to have the next interaction based on -20. So Rob will get a response that says, please look at -20, and does that fill in your requirements. So if Rob has further comments, we'll do a -21. There's no problem with doing a -21.
Okay. Well, in a way or another, we can expect some more update in 2 weeks then, I suppose.
Yes.
Okay. That's great. Anyone with more comments on SID or CoreConf more broadly? Well, hearing none, let's nail this down. Thanks again, Karsten. So I stop sharing. The next item is about the mail we received yesterday from Ayana. They actually wrote to the RFC editor, CSING OSCORE. So they noticed you approved errata about co-op that I linked here in the notes. They are wondering if any of these errata should be linked in any of these 5 Ayana registries. So my personal take is none is really needed to. It wouldn't hurt in principle to link the first errata to the co-op option numbers registry of the co-op parameters. Just thinking of the placeholder option numbers reserved for future location star options, but it would be just to give more context. It doesn't really add anything related to the actual registration procedure. So we may just reply, well, nothing really needs to be done, and that's it. But I just wanted to hear more from you.
My main problem is that I think it would be difficult for people to understand why we are linking to these errata reports. So there would need to be some additional explanation. And I don't know where to put this explanation except maybe into a rendition of the corrections and clarifications document.
Okay. So in principle, anything to say about that can come there later on anyway.
I think so.
Christian?
Yeah, I agree that we don't really need to put this there. I've just skimmed the 2 items, the items on. It doesn't add to the registry.
Right. And that was really the only point I could remotely see as to be considered now, because the other RAT or the other registries really are, apparently not really needing anything.
Yeah, except for 4954, which actually changed the registry, and that is duly noted. So
Right.
we are
that seems to
done
be under control already anyway. Yeah.
Yes.
Can you send it again, Carsten? 4944?
54.
54. Okay, thanks. Yeah, that's solved. Okay, I can reply to Ayana the discussion of this meeting. Yeah, we don't think anything really is needed. Okay, if there's nothing else, well, I think something is moving also about target ATRE, by the
Yes.
way. So we can.
My plan was to submit it before today's meeting, and then the usual disaster happened. So the version of XML to RFC on my laptop suddenly decided it no longer can cooperate with the version of WheezyPrint that I have on my laptop. Now I don't need to use WheezyPrint to submit drafts, but XML to RFC seems to really like WheezyPrint and try to engage it even if it's not needed. And yeah, that was an interesting hour before the meeting, but I didn't get through with it.
Okay, but it's coming soon then.
Sorry, and I feel your pain.
Okay, it's coming soon then, and we know that at that point it should be ready for working group plus call. Am I right?
Yes. So the target attribute and the ad hoc document should have a synchronized working group last call from my point of view. So for the target attribute, I say this as an author. For the ad hoc document, the core ad hoc document, I say this as a working group chair. And yeah, then we will look at this essentially before the internet draft deadline. So we might even have an updated version to look at in Yokohama.
I really think so, yes. Okay, so it should work to start the working group plus call probably already at the next interim meeting.
Or right now. I mean, we have discussed both extensively.
Don't you want to have the new version of Target ATRE posted?
Yes.
Okay.
But that could happen today if I manage
All right.
to
All right.
convince XML to RFC.
All right then.
And I think ad hoc is ready for working plus call.
Yeah,
right?
that's definitely stable a few weeks already.
Okay.
Yeah. Should we just handle each other's draft, or do you prefer Jaime to handle both?
I would prefer Jaime to handle both.
That's good. Yeah. Okay, we'll sync with him offline, I suppose then.
Yeah.
Great, thanks. Which brings us to the any other business. I just wanted to mention we already have a planned agenda item for the next interim meeting. There was some discussion between the chairs and the authors of COA-PM. And before considering to proceed, it's good to have a pedagogical overview of the building blocks used in the PM document, so that the core participants get more familiar with those to better understand and judge the draft. So we are going to have this sort of overview as a presentation from Giuseppe mainly and other co-authors in the interim in 2 weeks. But of course, feel free to propose other topics by then.
So just to remind people of what was going on there, so there is this draft that brings together IPPM measurement technologies with core. And the core people said, I don't understand this draft. There is IPPM technologies in there. And the IPPM people said, I don't understand this draft. This is there is core technology in there. So that's the typical situation of a draft that brings two technologies together. And in the end, the chairs decided we could do it in core. So the IPPM chairs and the core chairs so we will have a little introduction into the other half of the technology and then decide whether we can go for working group adoption. Okay.
I think that's it for what we had in mind, at least. Anything else you want to bring up for today? If no, then we give everyone 60 plus minutes back. Enjoy those.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks for being so efficient.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Christian, for the minutes. Bye-bye.